Hello and welcome back to Nessie's Dead. As always, we are your hosts, Spencer and Helen.
Hello.
Hello, and thank you for your patience. We had a little bit of a break, and we are back and ready to go.
We are. We took quite the break this time.
Yeah, a little bit unintentional, but here we are.
I think we needed a break, though. Sometimes it gets a little bit to the point where it's refreshing to come back and be excited to research and do things again.
Well, also, I think we need a break. Otherwise, the FBI agent that's assigned to watch us is like, why are they looking up this information on how to hide a body?
All the time.
It's funny because I know other spooky podcasters talk about like their search history and whatnot, and they always make that joke as well. And now we're in the gang.
I know. Now we're part of it. I'm like, I hope nothing ever happens.
Especially with an interest in like the macabre. Not to say that spooky interest means you're likely to be into homicide, but other people don't always see it that way.
Exactly. They come in and there's a giant life-sized Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah.
Leatherface. My bug guy got quite the scare when he came up to spray the upstairs. My exterminator, I heard him go upstairs. He was like, ma'am, would you like me to do the upstairs? And I was like, yeah, definitely. He goes upstairs and he goes, and then he comes down. He was like, I was not expecting to see Leatherface today. And he was laughing. That. I do too. That's what it's all about.
And you're like, it's only July.
And he had to do the movie room. I've got like a life-size Jason. And I bet once he walked by Leatherface, he was like, gosh, what else is there probably?
Mm-hmm. Well, he should come spray for bugs in October.
Mm-hmm. He actually will have to be honest.
I'm excited for him.
I always have them spray real good before I start putting up the decor.
Oh, yeah, you have to.
Yeah, because with all the sheets and everything, stuff can get back there.
Well, and there are things like, that stuff's just stored in like the attic and in the garage. So for all you know, like, spiders and other creatures could be living all up in those bones and fake tombstones.
Yeah, probably.
But with that, shall we go ahead and get into our first case back?
We should. What? Oh, we have a case, you say.
Yeah. I told you that.
Did you?
Remember, I told you I accidentally stumbled on true crime, which was not my intention.
Right. That's right.
But that's what we are kicking things off with. So this is one of those cases where, first of all, it's like, okay, how have I never heard about it? Why is it not more talked about?
Mm-hmm.
And not only is it, of course, very tragic and very unsettling, it's very frustrating. It's officially unsolved. It does not feel unsolved.
Oh, it's one of those where it's like it's right in front of you. Like, why can't you put the puzzle together?
And it's one where we're going to be calling out police a lot.
Shocker.
And there's a lot of evidence that just kind of doesn't get us anywhere because of some sloppiness and some issues and whatnot, which we, of course, will be getting into in a second.
Okay.
But it's definitely one of those cases where at the end you're like, oh my God. It's seemingly kind of black. I mean, I don't know. I wasn't there, but
I'd hope not. Jeez.
I meant like on the police force.
I wasn't there.
Anyway. Okay. So with that, let's go ahead and take the plunge into the very bizarre death of Brian Egg.
Okay. I don't know if the name sounds familiar or not. So I'll let you get started.
I'm going to assume that you don't know it. I kind of had a hard time doing the research because it was a lot of just like little articles, like news articles about it, but not actually discussing the case.
Okay.
So I had to really kind of look around to figure it out. It's not very talked about. But Brian Nelson Egg was born September 11th, 1952. He was a military brat, so his family moved around a whole bunch. He was born in Germany. They're not a German family. I mean, maybe, I don't know the heritage, but his family, they moved around so much, and his parents were stationed in Germany at the time of his birth.
Okay.
they eventually moved back to the States. I think specifically California. I know he lived in California. He graduated high school in California, but I'm not 100% sure if that's where they relocated right away.
Mm.
But when moving back to the States, Brian was still pretty young, like kind of like baby, probably like 2 years old maybe. And he was one of 4 children. He had 2 brothers and a little sister. Pretty much all accounts, they were a very close-knit family. They all got along pretty well. And I did find a report that says at least 1 or 2 family members lived nearby, at least in the same town as Brian. I'm not 100% sure if that is true or if it was like maybe like a mistranslation thing that they were close, not close geographically, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But either way, they were a close-knit family. Brian grows up, and by 1976, he buys his house in San Francisco at 228 Clara Street. This was in the South of Market neighborhood of the city, and it's a very cool area. It's not far from Chinatown, very pretty, definitely a neighborhood I would love to live in. I love San Francisco so much.
Have you been?
Yeah, twice.
Oh, I've never been.
I almost moved there instead of New York, but New York just calls me a little stronger. But I've done New York twice, so maybe San Fran's next.
Maybe. That would be fun. It sounds like it would be a fun place to live.
Oh, I'll be like a charmed one.
Mm.
But Brian was known for being very sweet. He was a very simple man who just liked the most simplest things in life. He was always out walking his dog, chatting with neighbors, watering plants. He was such a sweetheart. He would actually gift his neighbors plants and take care of them because he didn't want to burden them with the gift he gave them.
That is sweet.
He would also host neighborhood art shows, and I feel like he was just kind of an old soul.
It sounds like it.
Very like that kind of stereotypical 1950s, like everyone looks out for everyone else in the neighborhood kind of vibe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not that that was necessarily the truth of the 1950s, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
He was so much an old soul. He hated technology and never had a cell phone at any point. He refused to even set up on his landline phone. He refused to even set up a voicemail.
Wow.
Yeah, so he was just like very sweet, very simple, old man.
I was going to say like you, but you definitely have a cell phone.
Yes, I'm a simple person, but in the most like complex way, and I still love my technology. Technology hates me.
It does.
But he was also known for being very generous. Like I mentioned before, he would gift people plants and then continue to take care of them. He was kind of like, everyone knew him for kind of taking care of the neighborhood in general. Like he was always out and about picking up litter. He even would regularly go to the soup kitchen, I believe, in the area, and he would make friends with the people that, you know, were in need of the services there. He would actually have them come stay at his home for a while until they could get on their feet.
That's a rare person.
Like, that's generous.
That is. I don't know. I don't like to let people into my home. That's very generous.
Oh yeah, I get nervous with pest control. Like you're gonna put that poison in my mouth and then throw my body off the balcony. I know it.
Pest control gets nervous with me.
I think they're a little nervous of my apartment because I have so much weird art.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
Anyway, so I did read somewhere that Brian was originally a graphic designer. I don't know if that's totally true because the article that I read that in also said that he died in 2023, but he actually died in 2018, and it said that he was 32 at the age of his death, but he was actually 65. So we're going to take the graphic designer career with a grain of salt here.
Maybe there's 2 with the same name?
Well, it was the same case.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's not like a year or 2 off. That's a lot.
No, that's like a whole nother person off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I don't know if that's true, but he does end up later on in life going on to be a bartender at one of the most famous drag clubs in the world. It's called The Stud, and I believe it's also the oldest queer bar in San Francisco.
Oh, that's fun. I bet it's haunted.
I would hope so.
Oh, yeah.
But by the age of 65, in 2018, Brian was no longer working at the stud. It's not totally clear if he had worked any other jobs after working as a bartender there, but allegedly what occurred was he got in some big fight with his boss that like really escalated, and it led Brian to smashing a bottle on the bar and
Oh.
like a really aggressive fight, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he ends up quitting or getting fired right there on the spot, storming out of the bar, getting in his car, and driving off to the Bay Bridge with the intention to fake his own death.
Mm.
And then police get involved and everything kind of clears itself up. However, the police department refuses to confirm if it did or did not really happen. Brian never spoke on this, and no one that was close to him has ever confirmed it either. However, most of the reports do talk about it, so I thought I would include it as well. But again, that is totally alleged. Part of why I wanted to talk about it was because I'm not saying it's connected to the case at all, but it did kind of make me think there are a lot of cases where people go missing
Mm-hmm.
and something tragic happens. It's like everything was normal in their life, and then all of a sudden this kind of one centerpiece of chaos happens, and then they go missing shortly after. And again, I'm not saying I think it's connected, and we don't know if it even actually happened, but just kind of an interesting thing I thought about.
Yeah.
He did, after this whole alleged ordeal and after he was no longer working at the bar, he did continue his sweet, simple, generous life, walking his dog and taking care of his neighbors and the neighborhood and everyone that he met, pretty much. Then everything changed in May of 2018. All of a sudden, the neighbors who regularly chatted with Brian out on walks and in passing and whatnot, they noticed that they had not seen him for quite a while. And he was also very habitual, like he would walk his dog at the exact same times every day. So it was very odd to not see him. 3
Mm-hmm.
p.m. Brian should be out, but he's not there, right?
Oh, yeah.
He also was not showing up at that local soup kitchen. He was not watering anyone else's plants. He was not picking up litter in the neighborhood. He was not doing anything within the community. He was not answering the phone. He just kind of disappeared out of nowhere that May. So, of course, people start to ask questions.
Yeah.
The first person that really noticed that he was missing was his brother, Devin. So Devin had been calling, just, to say hi, and Brian doesn't answer. And at first, he doesn't think, anything of it other than bad timing. Then it gets a little bit weird because he calls, and then it takes him to a voicemail recording. Remember I said Brian did not set up his voicemail?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
It was just one of those like automated ones that would be like, leave your message after the tone. And now all of a sudden, out of nowhere, his brother cannot get a hold of him, and he has a new voicemail recording set up. But his brother Devin realizes that that is not Brian's voice in the recording. It's some other man, a man he doesn't know.
Oh, that's creepy.
So this, of course, was very unsettling to Devin. He continues to call, and after I think a day or so of calling and getting no answer, someone finally picks up the phone. But it's not Brian. It's another man who said his name was Nate. Remember, Brian always had people over at his house.
Mm-hmm.
He would let strangers stay with him when they were in need. So his brother, Devin, was like, okay, maybe this is just someone, like a friend or someone that he's helping out.
Mm-hmm.
But he did ask, like, hey, I've been calling. Where's Brian? Where's my brother? To which the man, referred to as Nate, explains that he's just out walking the dog and he'll have him give him a call later, and then hangs up. This, to me, would be horribly unsettling, but Brian's brother Devin does not think too much of it. If anything, he actually said that he felt better about the situation after talking to, quote, Nate, because he was like, oh, someone's staying with him. Everything's fine. He's just been busy.
That doesn't sound normal at all.
No, especially with the voicemail box of someone you don't know.
Yeah. And his character. That's way out of character.
Yeah, and well, why can Brian not return any phone calls? Why can he not pick up the phone at any point? To me, that's just a huge red flag.
Yeah. That means Brian's not there no more.
Exactly. So around the same time, or just a week after the situation with his brother calling, Brian's longtime friend and neighbor, Scott Free, also was very concerned because he has not seen or heard from his friend for a little while. So he posts on an online neighborhood page asking everyone to keep an eye out for Brian, just kind of asking for insight to know if anyone has heard or seen from him. Then Scott, along with a few other neighbors, decide to make some more attempts to call, and then they get together and head over to the house. They knock on the door, and of course, there's no answer. Obviously, this is very worrisome. Scott, along with a handful of other neighbors, all make calls to the police department asking for a wellness check on Brian.
How long had this been now?
Several days go by of no answer for the brother calling. It took about a week.
Okay.
To the friends, I think. I'm pretty sure. But the police do come. They do their, quote, wellness check. However, all they do is knock on the door, receive no answer, and leave.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And this happened more than once. They do like 5 or 6 of these, quote, wellness checks.
That many, and they just came and knocked on the door?
Yeah, the police were like, we have no reason to believe that there's any kind of issue. He has every right as an adult to go missing on his own accord and not answer the phone, just disappear, which is true.
But
However,
still,
like
I hate that.
Yeah. Everything's so out of character for him to not answer the phone, not be out. Like, where's his dog? He just doesn't take the dog out for walks anymore.
Oh, yeah, the dog.
To me, the police are not doing their job. I get where they're coming from, but at the same time, something is clearly not normal. He just vanished. For all they know, he could have been struggling in his apartment for like several days because he like tripped and fell.
Mm-hmm.
If the police did a little bit more in-depth investigation, a little bit more work with the wellness check, maybe, we could have saved his... I mean, I'm not saying that was the case, because we'll get into it, but you know what I mean. Like, you never
know.
Several weeks go by, and then neighbors start seeing unfamiliar men coming and going in and out from Brian's house. They call, they notify the police come, they knock on the door, they get no answer, they leave.
Oh my gosh.
So at this point, we're at about 4 wellness checks. Now there are strangers in and out of the house. To me, we're past the point of wellness check, and we're at the point of something is going on.
Yeah.
From there, several more days go by, and all of a sudden, the street smells like bleach.
Shut up.
Yes. A very strong smell of bleach can be smelt by all the neighbors outside. They notice that Brian's house, these 2 men are like wildly cleaning it. And one of them is painting the front door. They were cleaning so aggressively that soapy water was oozing out from under the front door.
Shut up.
Like,
nobody cleans like that. Unless it's a crime scene.
Exactly. That much bleach where you can smell it houses away.
Outside.
And you have to paint the door, and under the door soap is oozing out? No.
It's not even being covered up very well if that's the case.
No, to me that's very obvious that you're doing something.
You shouldn't be.
So this, of course, really concerns everyone in the community, leading to even more police calls, but the police did nothing. I don't know if the police actually even came to check out that situation with all the cleaning. I think they were kind of like, everything's fine.
They're just like, whatever.
Yeah. By this point, it is now August of 2018. He was last seen in May.
Oh my God. That's right. May.
So over 2 months have gone by with no word, no sight.
Wow.
So a really long time has gone by at this point for nothing, for nobody to hear anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Also, to me, this is a long time for no one to report him as missing.
That is weird.
Like, if I couldn't get a hold of you after a day, how long do you have to wait for a missing person? Did they change it to 24 hours?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it was like 48 hours, 24 hours, something like that.
I know the first 48, I don't know, but nobody did it at first for Brian Egg, sadly. And
with everything he did for everybody else.
I know.
That's disappointing, people. Do better.
So everyone's really just in limbo with what's going on with Brian. By early August, Brian's family finally reports him as a missing person. And I feel like his family would have been the first, or like you mentioned, like the community that he did so much for.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody would be like, hey, should we maybe say he's missing 2+ months? 2+ months.
God.
That's frustrating.
What about the dog? There's a dog involved too.
Yeah. I don't know anything about the dog. I don't know where he went. But the police do follow up on the missing person report. But you know how they do that? They go to the house, they knock on the door.
Shut up. No, they didn't.
They receive no answer.
Oh my, no, they didn't.
They did. That's what they did.
Of course he's not going to answer. He's missing.
Yeah.
What do they expect?
San Francisco Police Department, bad job. Everyone who knew Brian is rightfully furious with the police.
Yeah.
And, I mean, up until this point, they have only been lazy and pathetic. Now, they do not remain lazy for long. There's definitely some patheticness that we will get to. But on August 14th of 2018, that morning, the neighbors on Clara Street notice some more activity going on at Brian's house. However, this time it's not just some strangers in and out, or strangers painting and cleaning the front door for seemingly no reason. They actually report seeing an official crime scene cleanup van parked in front of Brian's house.
Shut up.
Mm-hmm. Now, remember, the police never investigated anything.
Tell me they investigate this.
Finally, yes.
Oh my God.
But this is incredibly confusing and incredibly strange because, like I mentioned, there was no investigation. And as of all official reports, there's no crime.
I mean, he's been missing.
Yes, but officially the official word on it was that I think the police assumed he just skipped town for no reason or for no known reason. But a crime scene cleanup crew, to have one, you can't just get one. They're not like pest control.
Mm-hmm.
They don't just come to your house. There needs to be police documentation.
Oh.
And there needs to be something that suggests they need confirmation that they can clean up the crime and that they don't need any more evidence collected or photos taken. And
I didn't know that. I thought because they could do hoarding situations as well.
Do they?
Mm-hmm.
Crime scene?
Yeah, the one that we have here in the DFW area. I follow them on YouTube, and sometimes they will do hoarding situations as well.
Oh, I didn't know they did that.
Maybe it's just the one that's in this area. I don't know.
Maybe it might be a state-by-state thing, but I am also wondering maybe with the hoarder situation, maybe they need some kind of documentation that confirms that the situation in the home is a detriment to the health.
Or the city is stepping in and
there's got to be I don't think you can just call a crime scene cleanup crew and be like, hey, you want to come clean something up at my house?
Should we try it?
Should we?
That'll look great along with our search history.
Right? So this rightfully rings alarm bells for the police department because they know that they themselves did not do any investigation and there's no crime that's been solved. And to their official knowledge, no crime has been committed officially. Somebody had to have called the crime scene cleanup crew, and somebody was able to like skip through legalities around it and get them to come out. I don't know who or how they did that.
Maybe they knew somebody?
That's gotta be it. And there's gotta be something with this case. Because just wait. So the police actually do come and investigate. And upon arrival to the house, the police either get into it or someone finally answers the door. They are met by a man named Robert McCaffrey. He was there alone in the house with the crime scene cleanup crew. There was no sign of Brian still. When questioned, the police were like, "What the hell are you doing here? Who are you?" Robert explained that he was there to pay the cleanup crew with $1,000 in cash that he had on him. He was like, "Yeah, Brian asked me to be here while they cleaned and asked me to pay for it." He just happened to have $1,000 in cash sitting there with him that moment. The cleanup crew, at first, the police were like, "Okay, that's really weird.
Mm-hmm.
That's not how this works. And where the hell is Brian? And why is Brian calling in a crime scene cleanup crew?" But the crime scene cleanup crew was able to confirm that they do not take cash and that they had been paid in advance. And the payment was it was on a debit card. Brian Egg's debit card.
I'm just trying to think, how would they have his
Fraud.
Well, like, usually you have to give your PIN and certain things.
Yeah,
it's different with credit card than it is with debit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Maybe it was a credit card and I read it wrong, but I know they had his card.
They already prepaid.
They did more with it, though.
Oh.
So this led to Robert McCaffrey's arrest immediately. He was arrested with the charge of the murder of Brian Egg, along with financial fraud and elder abuse, because he was 65 years old.
Mm-hmm.
But Robert explained that if they're going to arrest him, they need to arrest the guy that he was working with, Lance Silva. Both Robert and Lance were the ones squatting in Brian's home for the past 2 months. And
what happened to Nate?
Yeah, I think Nate must have been maybe a third guy involved,
or a fake name.
That was the name that they gave over the phone. But Lance was nowhere to be found. However, 2 days later, they did track him down at a nearby hotel, and he was arrested under the same charges as Robert was. Right around that same time, police then find out that Brian's card and name were used to purchase a car on June 1st, 2018. That was 2 months prior to the men being caught in Brian's house. That same car was also towed on June 15th of 2018 after being parked illegally. And on some local security footage, you can see that car illegally parked. And guess who gets out of it? Lance Silva.
Mm.
Also, they believe that cash, that $1,000 in cash Robert had at the house, was also withdrawn from the account.
Probably.
What's so incredibly frustrating is Brian's card and name were fraudulently used to buy a car, and then that car 2 weeks later gets towed. And there's security footage of that car right before it got towed with Lance Silva in it. And if there was a missing person report filed initially, like in the beginning of June, when it should have been, right after Brian went missing, we probably would have a hell of a lot more questions around this case answered. Some of the evidence could have been saved so that real justice could have been served.
Do you think a lot has to do with that car?
No. I mean, perhaps, but justice is not served in this case. I think a missing person report earlier could have helped.
Mm-hmm.
The lack of police effort is also a big problem with this case. if they actually did something regarding the wellness checks and not just knocking on the door and walking away. But
They could have found something more going on inside the house as well.
yes, we'll kind of circle back to that note. But with that being said, speaking of evidence, Brian Egg's body at this point is still nowhere to be found. They still don't know what's going on. They did arrest these men for the murder of Brian Egg because they assumed that's what happened. But they still don't know any details about anything. For the next 4 days after the men's arrest, they are looking through the house. They're doing an extensive search with cadaver dogs, looking under every cushion, every corner of that house, and the whole area, that whole block, the whole neighborhood. They are looking everywhere for Brian Egg. They're finally doing their job, right?
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that they kept coming back to over those 4 days of investigating, there was a weird smell in the house. They couldn't quite figure out what the smell was. They just knew it was an unpleasant, kind of weird smell, and that it was coming from somewhere inside the house, but it couldn't be pinpointed at all. So on August 17th, 2018, investigators notice that there's this big picture. There's this giant framed picture. They eventually noticed that it's actually covering an entire doorway, like a hidden door behind this. That door, they open it and they find that it leads to a basement kind of storage area. Right away when opening that door, they realize that this is where that smell's coming from. They're just hit with it and they can smell it now. They go down the stairs into this little storage space, and in it, they find bottles of bleach, a bunch of bottles of Drano, empty bottles of Drano.
Oh no, they put him down the drain, didn't they?
Nope.
Oh.
I mean, good idea. I get, you're kind of close to an idea with it. But also at the scene, they found a fan that was left running and a very large fish tank. And sitting on top of that fish tank was a big sawhorse. Now, I had to personally look this up. I had no idea what a sawhorse was. It's this kind of frame thing that acts as a table and you use it to saw things on. Kind of looks like a collapsible ladder. You can spread it apart and lay a big plank of wood on it, and it positions it so that you can saw it in half, right? So that sawhorse was sitting on top of this very large fish tank. This, obviously a very weird, unsettling scene to begin with.
Oh, yeah. Is he in the fish tank?
He is.
Ugh.
So they remove the sawhorse and see that the fish tank is full, filled to the brim with some kind of chemical. And they quickly realized that it was Drano. And all of those bottles of Drano had been dumped into the fish tank. And floating in the Drano fish tank is a human body. Specifically, a headless and handless human body.
I just don't understand how they can get away with this. At this point, who else was it gonna be?
I know. Now, the body was so mutilated and...
Well, yeah, the Drano alone is it's like an acid bath.
Yeah, it's eating away at the body, basically. And, I mean, it was in bad shape all around. They were unable to identify who this body belonged to. They assumed, okay, this has to be Brian Egg. But there's really no way to tell. They couldn't even identify the sex of the body. It was that mutilated and decomposed. But the body did still have clothes on, fully dressed, and there was cash in the pockets.
That's crazy that the Drano and stuff wouldn't have eaten down the clothes.
I think it would have taken longer. I mean, I get the idea that, because Drano is used to break things down. But it usually is breaking down clumps of hair and goo in a drain. I don't obviously it can and would break down a body and clothing, but I don't think it could do it that quickly in like 2 months,
That's strange that they wouldn't have declothed him.
or taken the cash out of the pocket after using his card fraudulently, unless it wasn't them. I don't know. But the intention was very clear that they were trying to decompose the body quicker using the Drano.
Mm-hmm.
Now, after the body was officially inspected, it was confirmed to have been that of Brian Eggs. They do believe that the cause of death was blunt force trauma and unspecified homicide. And for the blunt force trauma, specifically to the chest and rib region.
I was going to be like, how would they know?
Yeah, when I read that, I was like, there was no head. But then it was to other parts of the body. But
yeah, typically it's usually the head.
Sadly, and eerily enough, the hands and head of Brian Egg have still never been retrieved.
Ugh.
We have no idea what happened with that. And my best guess is they were in San Francisco.
Yep.
They could have taken the head and dumped it in the ocean.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Right over the bridge. Blunk.
They have sharks in that area.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably what happened because they still have not found it.
Especially after that long, though.
Yeah.
It's already too late to do a search for something like that.
It is. So from here, the two men that were initially arrested for Brian's murder, Robert McCaffrey and Lance Silva, are actually almost immediately released from jail.
What?
Yep, the San Francisco DA explained that there was not enough substantial evidence pointing to the men having been responsible for Brian's murder.
How? They're living in a house with a covered up door with a decomposing body that somebody has put Drano and made a whole setup. It's not making any sense. They were just there and they had no idea somebody was doing that behind a painting.
Yeah, scrubbing the house, and then they were there. Well, one of them was there with the crime scene crew.
Yeah.
Fraudulently used his card. It's kind of
to
obvious.
Me, that seems like substantial evidence.
So Robert McCaffrey, he was released like immediately, and then Lance Silva, he wasn't released for like another month or two because he had to serve out a little bit of time for using Brian's card illegally.
That was it?
Yeah. And from there, these men are still free to this day. And there is no official suspect or anything for this case. Loved ones have held... They almost instantly had a vigil for Brian. It was actually on what would have been his 66th birthday. And his longtime friend Scott had a tree planted and a memorial set up in his honor. The family ended up selling the house. As of now, the case is still considered open. And gets more frustrating, the police involved, the San Francisco Police Department, refuses to release body cam footage from those wellness checks that they did to his house. They also refuse to release documents that confirm the number of phone calls that the community made regarding this case.
I wonder if they even did the wellness checks then.
Well, the neighbors saw them.
Oh, okay. Okay, so there was witnesses.
Yeah. The police refused to acknowledge really anything regarding this case. I can't help but wonder if perhaps Robert McCaffrey and Lance Silva had some kind of connections, because otherwise, why would the police be so nonchalant for months?
Mm-hmm.
And
do we know these guys' occupations or what they do? Or
I don't know anything about them. I know that, well, actually, Lance Silva came from money.
There you go.
Well-to-do family, but
there you go.
He did something where he screwed over some people at his company by like taking their paychecks, and from there just kind of went down like a fraudulent financial criminal route.
Well, to me, when it comes from well-to-do families within the community, those are usually the people putting money in the pockets of others.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, I don't know, maybe the police were involved. Maybe the DA was involved. Because how does the DA just go, there's no evidence, they're free to go? Like, what? And if they're free to go, you don't have any decent leads? There's nothing?
That's super frustrating. It's 100% them. Like they didn't
And
even look
how did they get
into
away with
voice analysis or having the brother, see does their voice match who answered the phone.
Yeah, nothing. There was like, it was just like, there's no evidence. Bye.
Somebody was probably paid off hefty. But why him? What did he do?
Brian, right? And then that makes me think that's kind of why, now we're just getting into like some conspiracy, but maybe that alleged story with him potentially faking his own death, trying to, maybe that did happen. And maybe he had some kind of enemy where he felt he needed to fake his own death. And
Oh, to get
maybe,
out.
I don't know, like maybe someone's probably going to comment and come for me for suggesting this, but maybe he had connections to something nefarious,
Maybe.
You never know.
That's
I
so
can't, I
frustrating.
don't know. And the fact that his body, he was decapitated and then his hands are cut off. That takes a lot of work. That's, like we talked about this in the Black Dahlia case. And obviously, the dismemberment of Brian Egg's body is not to the same extent that Elizabeth Short experienced, because that was like next level. That's
Mm-hmm.
why they believe it was someone who had a surgical background for her case. But
Yeah. They obviously probably use that table saw and stuff.
yeah, which is creepy for them to you put it on top of the fish tank.
And did they not test that and see that, like, oh, it's covered in blood and this and that?
Well, I think they cleaned it. They seemed to have a decent understanding of how to cover the stuff up to some extent. I mean, they got caught parked illegally and didn't do a very good
It's
job.
so weird too, though, about the car. Like, so they just purchased a car and just like left it somewhere, and then they never retrieved it when it was towed. I'm confused about that part.
Maybe they tried, and I don't know. I didn't hear anything else about that.
That's very odd too, to go to the lengths to purchase a car fraudulently just to leave it to get towed.
And it was a car from, it was like a 2008 car. Like it wasn't some brand new vehicle, which I also thought was kind of odd. I don't know. There's just so many little things with this case that I'm like, where did that go? And how come this went that way? And who's involved here and who's involved there? And what's deeper in the, like, to me, there's a lot more to this case that we do not know, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think this one goes very deep. It's not very talked about, which is sad.
Mm-hmm.
Because it seems, on the surface, it seems like just this really sweet guy got taken advantage of by someone he was being generous to. But then I'm like, is that really the case? Like,
Or did they know each other? Did he get wrapped up in something he shouldn't have? Was he kind to the wrong person and they took
did it happen
advantage of
at the
him?
bar? Also, if he really did attempt to fake his own death, why does the police department refuse to acknowledge that?
Also, like, you really wouldn't do that over a stupid fight with your boss over a bar job.
Maybe someone was trying to set it up to say, like, oh, he's not mentally well.
Maybe.
And then things went wrong, and then they didn't dispose of the body right. I don't know. Like, maybe these two guys, Robert and Lance, are just some hired goons.
Could
But
be.
then it's like, what kind of higher up is after sweet little Brian Egg? Then his parents were in the military. I don't know. Now I'm really just going down a rabbit hole.
This one's baffling. This one lets you know that something's not right just because the way it was ignored so much by the police department.
Yeah, on like every level, basically.
Just
Except
kind of
for
like swept under the rug, like, let's just try to get through this, guys. And
that's a major city police force.
mhm.
That's not like some small town
Yeah,
situation like we normally talk about. This is
or it's expected. Like
Yeah.
San Francisco, you expect for the full PD to get in on this. And
hmm Now, this does not really pertain to the case, but it is very interesting, and I thought I would just add it at the end. This was not the only dismemberment that occurred in this area that year.
oh, okay.
So Brian Egg went missing May of 2018, and his body was discovered headless and handless in August of that same year.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the remains of 61-year-old Margaret Mamer
Another 60-year-old.
Oh, yeah, she's also in her 60s. I didn't even make that connection. But she was found, her remains were found in her home wrapped in a big plastic bag in the Mission District of San Francisco, which is about 15 minutes away from where Brian lived.
Oh.
And in mid-May, so right around the exact same time that Brian went missing, Margaret was murdered by her roommate, Lisa Gonzalez, after an argument regarding rent. Then in June of 2018, her remains were discovered and Lisa was arrested immediately and confessed. She was, I think her arms and legs were cut off and placed in a freezer. It was all that same summer.
Yeah, but it does sound like different cases altogether.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? Who knows?
I mean, who knows for sure? Maybe he witnessed something he shouldn't have witnessed.
What if he did? And because it is odd that she would choose to dismember this woman. Dismemberment is just such an extreme thing. And
it really is.
Like, it's not like a stabbing. You really there's a lot that goes into it. And
yeah, you're in it at that point. Like, you're deep in some shit when you start dismembering people.
So I'm not suggesting that it's connected. However, the way my mind operates,
Me too.
Well, who knows? She could have been the third that was working with these two guys. Who knows?
Who knows? I mean, maybe he did witness something he wasn't supposed to witness. Maybe not saying her murder, but something completely different, because his character really doesn't seem like somebody that would get involved or, but we really never know. People have skeletons in their closets every day that when you do hear it, you're like, what?
Well, when I heard this case, I stumbled on it on Instagram. And there was like no information really in the post, so I looked into it and I was like, I think I need to cover that.
Yeah, and
I'm shocked it's not a bigger case.
I mean, I was gonna say, if you're another true crime podcast, maybe copy us and go ahead and cover this just to get the word out a little bit more. Sometimes it only takes someone big blowing it up, and then
and it's still an open investigation. I mean, I would say in theory, because I do not think they are actually working on it.
Yeah, it's just like left on the desk somewhere.
But the SFPD, they say they are working on it, so
I doubt it.
But that's all I have on Brian Egg.
Gosh, what a wild case, though. Well,
with that, I guess we will say good night
and pleasant nightmares.
Bye.
Bye.